And we're going to move now from one of our founding members to one of our newest member, Stability AI, and Hanno Basse, the CTO of Stability AI, for our next segments. Hanno?
Thank you, David. The clicker.
Yes.
Here, it's up there.
I stole it. Okay. All right.
Okay, it's good to see everybody. I think I know like half of the people in this room here, which is great. If you don't know me, Hanno Basse, so I'm the CTO at Stability now. I used to be the CTO at 20th Century Fox. I worked at Microsoft, and before Stability, I was the CTO at Digital Domain. So I kind of understand the studio world, but also the visual effects world. So not an expert, but know it pretty well. So not Stability. And I'm, I got very specific instructions from David what I'm going to talk about here today. So I'm not going to dazzle you with a bunch of, crazy images and workflows. If you want to see some of that, come to the HBA retreat next week. I'm going to speak there too. So here I'm going to just talk about, the role of open source at Stability AI, but also at, I think, industry more in general, where open source is I think, really important for innovation in generative AI. So I'm actually, this is kind of our corporate slide here. I'm not a big fan of using the word disrupting visual media to empower storytellers, but I think we're really here to empower storytellers. And it's kind of very similar to what Lincoln talked about earlier, and that, I think the best way to really make a difference in this industry is to, work on things that help artists, do the work that they want to do. Right, and not spend time with mind-numbing stuff that nobody particularly wants to do, but has to be done. So in terms of open source, so if you look at this graph here, so single modality at the top, at the bottom, multimodal at the top, closed on the left, and open on the right. We're clearly in the top right corner here. We support not just image generation, so you guys probably all familiar with Stable Diffusion, which obviously came from us, but we've got video, we've got several ways of generating 3D, and we also have an audio model. We used to have a language model or a family of language models as well, but the commoditization in that area is so strong that it just didn't make sense for us to pursue it any longer. And I think it's not gonna make sense for a lot of other companies either. Okay, so we created Stable Diffusion like I talked about, and it's all of our models are released open weight on Hugging Face. So you can go there. You can download the latest is Stable Diffusion 3.5 that came out in October. And we're now working on a next generation video model, which is going to come out this spring. And we're probably also going to release a new audio model in the spring. But because we're open source like this, it's been hugely popular. It's been, on number one most liked, model on Hugging Face for a long time. We've got a lot of, users in our community, like over 5 million that actually constantly use it and actually also contribute tooling on top of the model. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. So this open source community really has helped make Stability and Stable Diffusion in what it is today. I'm not going to do a poll, but I'm sure that practically every company that's represented here has been using Stable Diffusion for something in some point. So because it's available freely. Anyway, so that's the point. Then so we know artists really love Stable Diffusion for multiple reasons, because you can download it from Hugging Face or from other places. You can run it locally. So which means even if you have pre-release content here that you don't want the world to see yet, okay, you just run it in your local data center with the content protection and cyber protection mechanisms that you have there, and it's just another tool in your toolbox. But then also really, again, what the open source community has enabled is this unparalleled, we feel, control, right? On the right here, those are two examples of these comfy UI workflows. ComfyUI is an open source application that sits on top of the model and allows you to really utilize all the capabilities. So control net. So for example, down there you have a sketch to image control net. Very simple, example here, but you can just literally sketch something, press a button, and then you get the result that you want. And by the way, another aspect that I haven't mentioned here is model fine tuning. You're probably all really familiar with that for large language models that you can run locally. Same is obviously true for image and it will be true for video. So, you can basically take materials from your existing show, fine tune a model, and then you start sketching like you do below, and then all of a sudden you get a character from your franchise already kind of, adhering to the guidelines or the previous designs. And then, so those are the different models that we came up with over the years. So the latest one, like I said, is Stable Diffusion 3.5. And so this is actually what our tech stack kind of looks like in terms of open source versus not. So at the bottom, so like I said, all the models that we're putting out are available on Hugging Face open weights, and I think that's going to continue. There was a point in time where we kind of wondered whether it would make sense to actually make some of the models closed, but if the DeepSeek thing has showed anything, and Lincoln was right, this was visible over a year ago already that this is going to happen, is that the future is not in the foundational models. I think there's clearly going to be a time where I think even, the general intelligence, whatever the hell this is going to end up being, is going to be available in an open source model. Because once I think what people underappreciate is you spend most of your compute, most of your research resources not on the training run, not even on curating your training data set. You're trying to figure out what architecture, what approach works. You do have to do all these different explorations, right? And that's what ChatGPT or OpenAI and Meta and whatever, that's what they spend their time on, right? To figure that out. But once you've got the structure, or once you have, for example, in our case now, the diffusion transformer architecture, once that's there, training another model with a different data set and making it better because you're using a different data set is trivial. So that's where this reduction in cost comes. And so we're clearly going to see that with image generation. We're clearly going to see that with video and 3D and audio and all these modalities. And so over time, so I believe you will have foundational models for everything, very powerful, very, very capable in open source. And then so now the next the question then becomes, okay, what does the overall tech stack look like? And for us, the way it looks like right now is that a lot of our tooling, like, and I have some examples here, they all come from the open source community. We do some of this development in-house. And then obviously the applications that sit on top, that's where the monetization happens. But clearly there will also be open source application solutions. They already exist today. So if you think about it, ComfyUI is at that top stack. The only problem with ComfyUI is it's not for the faint of heart. If you've used ComfyUI and you try to load a custom workflow or even a custom node, it's not great. So that's actually something that we want to address with this product in the middle here, Dream Studio, is have the same capability, but something where it actually works. Okay, and then so how can we work with the ASWF? So I looked through, and obviously I've been familiar with the ASWF throughout my career, and so we're looking at things where we can work together. So what we really believe is that generative AI needs to be a part of the production ecosystem that exists today. We're not here to tell you, okay, throw all this out the window and we're going to create magic for you. We don't think that's going to work. The agents, the artists need agency. You need to be able to show the director 20 different versions of what they might or might not want. You need to be able to react to notes in a very targeted, manner, and that only works in the existing ecosystem, which means that we need to adapt you need to adopt existing pipelines and adapt existing pipelines to use generative AI. And so that's what we're here for. And then so one of the things that we want to focus on actually is professional formats. So if you look at image generation today, that's all 8-bit color, sRGB color space. So what we want to do is we want to figure out and work with the community here on, okay, how do we migrate that approach to professional formats, AXR, 16-bit half float, DCI-P3 color space, or Rec 2020 or whatever, and then go through for 3D, for example, look at Material X. Okay, how can we work with you guys on that? We're also thinking that there's a lot of applications in color, grading, and in the color pipeline where generative AI can be used. And the last thing I want to say, so Open Color IO, I don't know if there's something for us to do there or not, but it's clearly something we want to explore. And the last one is we do need a standard taxonomy for training data. So for example, you want to describe a shot, what's in that shot. If we could have a common language across the board, that would be super helpful. Because today it's all over the place and makes it hard to use it. And by the way, last thing I'm going to say on training data annotation, the thing that the annotations that work best is the annotations, the text you actually want to see in your prompt. So the way you formulate your prompt, that's how you want to annotate your training data clip as well. That, if you enter this text, this is the result that you want to see. All right, and that's it. Blowing through this in 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hanno. It's really great.